والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dearest brothers and sisters, and welcome to the Quranic Framework course. This is the first of 6 away days, inshallah. Very excited, alhamdulillah, we've managed to bring this course from up north to London, or Londonistan, as they say. Inshallah, it will be a fruitful journey for us all, myself included, and we ask Allah to help us along the way. Now, Surah Al-Asr is where we begin. And the reason why we begin here is because the whole course is actually built around this one surah. Yeah, this one surah. And this surah, it kind of can be broken down into 4 elements, right? Iman, Amal Salih, Tawassul bil Haqq, Tawassul bil Sabr. So you have something to do with Iman, most fundamental thing, and then to do with righteous living, good actions, and then about exhorting others to the truth, and then about having patience in exhorting others to the truth. And these 4 elements is what will be expounded upon more and more throughout the course. And each day, in fact, from here on in, will be dedicated to one element. So today will be more of a general one, getting a taste of what these 4 elements really mean and getting a better understanding. And as we move on, the next day will be on Iman, dedicated one day, where we take different parts of the Quran and see how Allah spoke about Iman. And that's a very, academic way of doing it, and it's a very robust way of doing it as well, because you're going to the very source itself and saying, hang on, I have my understanding of Iman, you have your understanding of Iman, this scholar has his understanding of Iman, but let's go to the actual source and see how Allah spoke about Iman, and see how the scholars of Islam explained how Allah explained Iman. Of course, that will give us a much richer understanding, no? A much deeper understanding, a more accurate understanding. And so the second day will be about, righteous deeds. Okay, righteous deeds, it can mean so many things to different people. Again, Quran. Let's bring the Quran and see how Allah spoke about it. And then so on and so forth. The last day will be dedicated to speaking about the tafseer of Surah Al-Hadid, one very amazing surah in the Quran. And that will kind of tie things together. And it will be quite enjoyable as well, to be honest, because that surah is truly amazing. So inshallah, our journey begins today with Surah Al-Asr. However, before we begin doing the tafseer of Surah Al-Asr, we need to understand what is tafseer. Otherwise, we'll be doing tafseer and some people will be thinking, what were you talking about exactly? How did we understand it like this? What is tafseer? So we need to discuss what is tafseer of Quran. So that's going to be the introductory points. However, even before that, something even more important than that, which is the issue of sincerity, ikhlas. Now, in front of you here, you can see a cutout of an article that I read a couple of weeks ago, and to be honest, it stuck out at me. I found it quite interesting. I saw this in my newsfeed on Facebook, and the heading is "Back at the Board: Why Teachers Keep Working After Retirement." And why I found this interesting is for a number of reasons. So basically, here is a news article about teachers who've, taught for however many years, 30, 40, 50 years. They've retired, job finished, no more money, no more salary, and they keep coming back to work and doing the job for no money. And I found that, subhanAllah, quite interesting, because what we're learning here is that though the reason why they began working was what? Was the main reason why someone got into teaching? Okay, maybe they love teaching and the idea of reforming, children and all the rest of it, but fundamentally speaking, what's the root cause reason? What is it? Money. Yeah, money. And some people, in fact, go to teaching because they can't get a job anywhere else, but we won't go there. But having said that, the main reason, the main driving force is money. طيب. So what happened along the way that made them start distancing themselves from the root motivation to doing it for a completely different reason that in fact negates the reason they began it. Do you see? So they now reach a point where they're going to work and teach for no money. You started teaching because of money. Or they've got their reasons. What do you think their reasons are? Why do they want to continue working as a teacher even though they're not going to get any money?
Passion.
The passion? Okay, what do you mean by the passion?
Love is used to doing what he loves.
Okay, very good. So, okay, that could be two things. To do what you love means because you've got nothing else to do, or because you love doing this thing and the gratification that comes.
Grown into loving it.
Okay, so that's the reason, isn't it? The gratification, the fact that it pleases you. You like to do this thing. So I like it so much that I'll do it even if you don't pay me. True. What's another reason why they would carry on teaching?
Just becomes a habit.
It becomes a habit, okay.
Becomes part of the daily routine and they just need
Becomes part of the daily routine. Tayyib. Anyone else got another suggestion?
Maybe sincerely they want to pass on that knowledge to some other students.
Okay, so there's like another, there's another motivation now, which is to pass on the knowledge and everything they gain to the younger generation.
to increasing.
Yes.
Sorry, is it like very satisfying and very rewarding?
Very rewarding, yes. That's what the brother mentioned, that they love it. They love the gratification, the satisfaction that comes from it. So subhanallah, what we're learning here is that motivation is of many types. Yeah? What inspires somebody to do something could be different to another person. And we're learning that people's intentions change. And they can change drastically. And that's another thing I found so interesting. And subhanallah, this is so crucial to us because why are we here today? Why am I teaching this? Why are you sitting here? It could be for a number of reasons, true? However, what is the reason we should be sitting here? What is the reason that if we were here for, then Allah would be pleased with us? And second question is, what is the reason that if we were here for, Allah would be displeased with us? And a third question is, what is the reason that if we were here for, then Allah wouldn't be pleased with us, nor would He be displeased with us? It wouldn't mean anything to Allah. Allah would have no value for it whatsoever. Who can answer these three questions? Number one, the reason that if we were here with that reason, Allah would be pleased with us. Who can answer this question? What do you think, Aisha? Aisha, this is you. You don't know? You can help her out. What do you think? Two don't knows from this side.
To worship Allah and to increase your love.
Okay, so the brother said to worship Allah and to increase your love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who thinks that's the right answer? Who thinks that's a good answer? You think that's a good answer? Anyone have a different answer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it to learn the Quran and then to teach it to others?
Okay, so if Allah saw that your intention today is to come here to learn the Quran in order to teach it to others, He would be pleased with you? Okay, yeah, that's true. What else?
To learn the Quran and practice it in your life.
To learn the Quran and practice in your life. That's true, but they're not really getting to the core.
To fulfill the duty of...
Sorry, we're going to take hands inshallah.
To learn the Quran
Yeah.
and to actually put into practice what we are supposed to follow and what the prophets were here for, to give da'wah, to actually
Okay,
pass on the
so the brother...
message. There's an expectation from Allah.
Very good. So the brother said, in order to learn the Quran so we can practice it as the prophets practiced it. Yeah? Okay, that's a good answer. However, I'll put it to you that somebody could have that intention, and what they mean by that intention is that, you know what, I don't like it when people look at me and say, this guy doesn't know how to be a Muslim. He's not a good Muslim. Look at, he doesn't even know how to pray properly. I don't want to feel like that guy. I don't want to feel like that sister that people look at and say, you know what, she doesn't know anything. I don't want to be like that, and so I'm going to educate myself so people can't say that about me. Is that an intention that Allah would look at and would be pleased with? Sisters, are you following? What do you say to that?
Well, yes, but you could start from that position. But, you know, we go to the point where Allah guides.
Yes.
And His methods of guiding, the intention you can start off from a wrong position.
Yes.
And end up at the right position.
Okay, so what is the right position?
Sayyidina Umar, for instance,
Yeah.
had to finish Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Along the way, Allah guided him
Yes.
to and what happened to him. So
Yes, so somebody can start off with the wrong intention and then arrive at the right one. But what is the right one? That's what we're answering here. What is the right one?
So just to please Allah, then is to gain His pleasure of what you do. So basically, you're giving shukr by practicing what He wants you to do.
Okay, very good. So Nahid Bhai said that in order to please Allah, Allah, I'm here, so you will be pleased with me. I just want you to see me, Allah, today, in this place, taking my time to study your book, so that you will be pleased with me. If somebody had that intention, would Allah be pleased with that person? For sure. For sure. So what we're learning here is the actual definition of ikhlas. Now please write this down. The definition of ikhlas is differed upon by the scholars. However, they kind of revolve around the following definition. Okay? The definition of ikhlas is that a person acts or refrains from acting in order to, number one, seek the pleasure of Allah. Number two, in order to acquire rewards from Allah. And you can put in brackets rewards that come in this life and rewards that come in the life to come. And number three, in order to be saved from the hellfire. Any intention outside of these three is actually not ikhlas. It is something other than ikhlas. And that leads us on to answering the other two questions, which is, sorry.
Could you repeat the definition?
Okay, repeat the definition, inshallah. What's your name? Huh? Tahir. Okay, we're going to repeat the definition, Tahir. Tahir, the definition is that you act or refrain from acting in order to, number one, seek the pleasure of Allah. Number two, acquire rewards from Allah. Number three, what's number three? To be saved from the hellfire. Okay. Now the other two questions is, what is an intention that if someone had today in coming here to this course, Allah would be displeased with? Yes.
To show off.
To show off. Okay, could you explain that a little bit?
So basically, your intention isn't so much to please Allah, but to please others in the community.
Okay, so how would others be pleased with you in the community? In what way? How would you be showing off exactly?
Sorry, not pleased, but trying to trying to show yourself as somebody who is a religious.
Okay.
A person with religion inside them.
Right.
For the wrong intentions.
Right.
For the wrong purpose.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Which is that if somebody came here just so others could say, you know where he went? You know where she went? Well, that's the way she spent her Sunday. MashaAllah. Fantastic. Pat on the back. Thumbs up. If that was the main reason that you came here, then Allah wouldn't be pleased with that, would He? For this is like an act of worship, coming to study the book of Allah. True or not? So this act of worship that you ought to be doing for Allah, you're doing it for the community or you're doing it for people's eyes? Surely Allah wouldn't be pleased with that. Tayyib. Now the last question is what? An intention that if you had in coming here today, Allah wouldn't be pleased, nor would He be displeased. It wouldn't be worth nothing in the eyes of Allah. Can somebody tell me an example of a reason like this? Yes, bro.
Maybe you have nothing to do, so you just like spend time with your friend doing it.
Ahsant. Very good. What's your name?
What's your name?
Husnain. MashaAllah, very good. Husnain said, I've got nothing better to do. Might as well come here, chill out with, my friends, see my family. Uncle's here, I haven't seen him for a while, might as well go there, see uncle as well, It's true. He's not doing it to show off, but he's not doing it for one of the three reasons either. He's doing it for a neutral reason, which is actually a foolish reason. Because you are depriving yourself of reward. You're depriving yourself of, you're going to spend 9 hours of your life, and those 9 hours, because of your intention, are not going to be worth nothing on Yawm al-Qiyamah. 9 hours of effort, time, money, and all for nothing. Couldn't you even bring yourself to have a pure intention, ikhlas? So subhanallah, let us, think about why we are here. And you can force yourself, to become motivated to be here because Allah, you see me, you'll be pleased with me. Oh Allah, you will reward me for this. Oh Allah, at the very least, save me from the fire because I came to study your book. Yeah? So we should try, we ask Allah to give us ikhlas in this study. Ameen. Okay. Anyone not clear on the ikhlas thing? Any questions about that? No? It's clear? Okay, very good. Now, tafseer. See, we will be doing tafseer of Quran. What does it technically mean? It refers to, and this is a definition given by As-Suyuti rahimahullah, it can refer to clarifying and elucidating the meaning of something. And number two, to expose and uncover. It essentially means asking the question, what does this mean? What does this verse mean? What do these words mean? That is tafseer. Okay. Now, getting a bit more technical, you can add to this explaining the Quran as intended by Allah. What did Allah intend behind these words? And that's getting a bit more technical, because what you're actually saying is that sometimes words, sentences can have double meaning. Yeah, double meaning. It could mean this or it could mean this. But what is the right meaning? Meaning, what is the one that the person who spoke it intended? So what you're saying is, what did Allah intend by these words? That really is tafseer. Once we define tafseer, we need to be accurate. Once we say it is to explain the Quran as intended by Allah, you're really pinpointing that we need to know exactly what it means. Yeah? And the thing is, who is speaking the Quran? Is it the average human being? Who's the one who spoke the words of the Quran? Allah. It is not just any person. Yeah, they are revealed to the Prophet ﷺ, but the actual words are the words of who? Allah. Now, if I was to get a very eloquent, articulate English person to speak to you, you guys would be able to follow him, understand him pretty well. Why? Because he's qualified, he's got a good grasp of the language, he's able to communicate his message in a very effective way. Now think about the one who created that person. Allah is speaking. You think Allah isn't able to convey what He means and what He says? No one is more able. وَمَنْ أَصْدَقُ مِنَ اللَّهِ قِيلًا. No one is more truthful in what they say than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So how could it be the case that there are so many different meanings? And not just, what do you mean by different meanings? Completely different meanings. To the one who can speak in the most profound way. How could that be the case? Yeah? طيب. So this is the tafsir of Quran in order to explain it as intended by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Explanation can obviously relate to the rulings in the Quran, the instructions, the stories, everything that the Quran is speaking about. Any questions about what is tafsir? Because it's quite fundamental to understand what tafsir is now. If somebody was to ask you what is tafsir, do you feel confident in explaining it? Yeah?
You cannot really explain what Allah says. You can come
Yes.
But you're not really 100% you can say, this is the meaning that's it. Is that true?
Okay, so the brother said that what he heard is that, in tafseer, you can't say 100% that this is what Allah intended by what He said. You can come very close to it. It is true, that is the case. However, you see, the other opposite extreme is that you just don't know. You don't know what it means. Yeah? The middle way is that it's true that there may be 2 or 3 interpretations. And those interpretations, in fact, are not very different, they're very close to one another. However, what we can say is that the intended meaning lies within one of the 3. Okay. So it's not that the actual intended meaning escaped us. We don't know. 1400 years, we don't know what this ayah means. No. And subhanAllah, Mujahid, the student of Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, said that I sat with Ibn Abbas and went over the entire Quran verse by verse in one narration 30 times, asking him every ayah, what does this mean? Subhanallah. Mujahid. Yeah? This is the student of Ibn Abbas. So if the knowledge and the interpretation of the Quran was known to that level in the time of the companions, and then passed down to us by people like that, that would read the Quran 30 times, stopping at each verse, then for sure the tafseer of the Quran is with us today. Yeah, and we'll go into that in more detail, inshallah. Okay, so let's move on now. Tafseer and the sources of tafseer. The sources of tafseer. If we wanted to answer the question, what does this verse mean? What sources would we go to? Well, there's a number. Number 1, you'd go to the Quran. What does that mean, go to the Quran? I don't understand this verse, you're asking me to go to the Quran. What we're saying is that this verse, you might not understand it. However, a similar verse mentioned somewhere else could help you understand this verse. Yeah? For example, in Surah Al-An'am, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَلَمْ يَلْبِسُوا إِيمَانَهُمْ بِظُلْمٍ. Those that believe and don't mix up their iman with dhulm. I don't understand what dhulm means here. The companion said, I don't understand what dhulm means, because if it means just wrongdoing and oppression, we all do that. So Allah is saying that only these people will be saved, but we all do this dhulm. So they came to the Prophet ﷺ and they said, Ya Rasulullah, what does dhulm in this verse mean? The Prophet ﷺ explained it by saying, look at what Allah said in Surah Luqman. Inna shirka la dhulmun azim. Allah said that indeed shirk is the greatest dhulm. So what dhulm meant in that verse was not oppression, rather shirk. Okay, now I understand. So you use Quran in order to explain Quran. Number 2, the Sunnah. What does this verse mean? Has the Prophet ﷺ explained this verse? Let us see what the Prophet ﷺ said. Okay. Number 3, by the statements of the companions and the successors. So the companions would have had an understanding. And they wouldn't have got that understanding from thin air. They would have got that understanding from a number of places. Their own understanding of the deen, or they asked the Prophet ﷺ himself, or they saw the Prophet ﷺ behave in a way that helped them understand a verse of the Quran. And that's a very important point, because what did Aisha radiallahu anha say when asked what was the character of the person like? What did she respond by saying? His character is what? Yes?
His character was the Quran, he lived Quran.
Very good. كَانَ خُلُقُهُ الْقُرْآن. His very character was a living Quran. That's amazing. That his behavior was explaining the Quran. So just by seeing the way he behaved would allow them to understand some verses in the Quran that they may not understand accurately. So then when they say this is the meaning of the Quran, they are actually getting that meaning from none other than the Prophet ﷺ. Do you understand this point? Yeah? Do you understand this point? And lastly, the Arabic language itself. The Quran, Qur'an Arabiyyah. It is an Arabic Quran. Allah said that himself in Surah Yusuf, in order to show us that this message of mine communicated to you through one specific language. It is the Arabic language. And not just the Arabic language, of any time, of that time, ancient Arabic. So, if somebody understands Arabic today, now, 2014, is year number 1436 now, like the Arabs understood it during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, he would have one qualification in order to explain the Quran, which is to have mastery over the Arabic language as spoken by the ancient Arabs. And subhanAllah, what is amazing is that it's possible to do that now. It's actually possible to learn Arabic, Fusha, and understand it to a very good level like they used to speak it 1400 years ago. And that's something you can't say about any other language. The language, it develops, it changes, sometimes it dies, all the rest of it. Shakespearean English, for example, very different to the way we speak, right? In fact, people now, they wouldn't understand Shakespearean English. However, if you learn Arabic today, you can understand the Quran, to a very good level. So these are the sources of tafseer. Now, very quickly, where will we be going in order to explain the Quran? What tafseer will we be doing? The thing is, somebody might be thinking here today, so these teachers will be doing their tafseer of the Quran. No. We're not doing tafseer of the Quran. We are delivering the tafseer of the Quran. We are studying what the Mufassirun said, and then we will be sharing that with you today and throughout this course. Which Mufassirun are you going to go to? This is that. Number one, Imam al-Tabari rahimahullah. His tafsir, one of the all-time greatest tafsirs of the Quran. He is from early Muslim generation. He passed away 310. Okay, so it's the 4th Hijri century. Early Islam. In 271, he began writing his tafsir. He said to his students that I'm going to write a full tafsir of the Quran. How many pages, they asked? How many pages? Students asking the teacher how many pages, because they know he's going to write a long one. How many pages? He said 100,000 pages. 100,000 pages. They started to complain and said, we won't be able to. It's too much. So he said, I will write a mukhtasar, a summary of that tafsir which I intend to write in 10,000 pages. He summarized his tafsir of the Quran by that much. That tafsir of the Quran is with us today. The manuscripts are still with us until today, and they are published. How many volumes do you think it is? How many volumes do you think that tafsir is? More than 14. More than 15. Oh, you said 40? No, it's not 40, less than 40. It is 28 volumes. It's probably from this side of the table to about here. That's the tafsir of Imam al-Tabari rahimahullah. Okay? So, this tafsir book, they said once he published it, every scholar in the Muslim world became reliant upon that book of tafsir. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah coming some, 400 years later on. 400 years have passed. Okay? Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah would say that the most authentic tafsir book out there is the tafsir of Imam al-Tabari rahimahullah. Asahhaha tafsir al-Tabari rahimahullah. The most authentic book of tafsir, and by that time there are well over 100 books of tafsir. Well over 100 books of tafsir, and he said this one is the most authentic. And there's many reasons for that, we won't get into that right now. So this is one book inshallah we will be focusing on and delivering our tafsir inshallah. Then you have other books like the tafsir of Al-Qurtubi rahimahullah, very famous Spanish scholar, 671, Ibn Kathir, I'm sure many of you have heard. Of recent history as well, Ibn Ashur, a Tunisian scholar. He was a mujtahid. So he was somebody who mastered many sciences of Islam. Of them was tafsir. And his tafsir is my personal favorite tafsir. And in his tafsir, he has many different elements, different qualities. He has in there information or writings regarding the eloquence of the Quran. How this verse has linguistic nuances that need to be looked at. He has in his tafsir things related to munasaba, how is this verse connected to the previous verse, connected to the verse after? How does it all fit in together? Something quite unique. He has in his tafseer, what is the aghrad of the surah? What are the higher objectives of the surah? The overall message of Surah Baqarah. If I could summarize it in a sentence or two, what would that be? Ibn Ashur has that before every single surah. Quite amazing, because being able to do it here or there is quite profound. Being able to do it every single surah, it means that he had a comprehensive understanding of every single surah in the Quran. So he was a truly amazing figure. Ibn Ashur, Al-Tahir Ibn Ashur is there. Tunisian scholar. He was actually the Grand Mufti of Tunisia at one point as well. Then you have the tafsir writings of Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah and Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah. They never had their own books of tafsir. Later scholars would take their words regarding tafsir in other books and then compile tafsir for them. Okay, so it's like what Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah say about Surah Fatiha. He's got 10 books, let's look at all of them. Anything that was said there, put it into a tafsir book for him. Okay, I'm going to ask you now. Tafsir example. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Tawbah, فَإِن تَابُوا وَأَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةِ. So if they make tawbah and establish as-salah. Brother, what's your name? Aqeel. What's the tafsir of as-salah here? If somebody was to say to you, what's the explanation of salah? What does salah mean here? What do you say?
Prayer.
What are you talking about prayer? You're talking about the namazi prayer, yeah? Yeah, the 5 daily prayers. So, Brother Aqeel said the tafsir here would be 5 daily prayers, whoever establishes the 5 daily prayers. Do you agree? Yeah, it's true. This is the tafsir. So, you explained what this word means. However, now look at the next verse. Okay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Tawbah, same surah, later on, خُذْ مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ صَدَقَةً تُطَهِّرُهُمْ وَتُزَكِّيهِمْ بِهَا وَصَلِّ عَلَيْهِمْ. And take from their wealth sadaqah, meaning zakat, in order to purify them with it. And وَصَلِّ عَلَيْهِمْ. And make salah upon them. What does salah mean here? Blessing. Okay, blessing or make dua for them? Okay, so you're saying that tafsir of salah here is not the tafsir of salah previously. It's different. What makes you say it's different? Very good. Context. Yeah, the context was making you say actually it's not that meaning. So what was the first meaning? The first meaning was a religious meaning of the word salah. True? The second meaning is what? It's more of a what? Not religious, but not colloquial, linguistic meaning. Linguistic meaning. Yeah. So linguistically, salah can refer to dua, which it does, but then it takes on another meaning in terms of religious. Religious meaning of salah is not just dua, it is to pray the salah. So there is a difference between the religious meaning and the linguistic meaning. And the tafsir is basically hinging upon that difference here. Now the meaning of tadabbur. Tadabbur is a word that we'll be using very often in this course. Defined as reflecting over the consequences result of a matter and to ponder over it. So it means to reflect. But not just to reflect over something. You can't just reflect over thin air, right? So can you reflect over what Shakespeare said in Hamlet, please? You say, what do you mean? What did he say? So I need to know what he said. Okay, so you have the tafsir now of those 2 verses. Yeah? Number 1 verse, number 2 verse. Now I'm going to ask you to do tadabbur of that, which means to reflect over it and to, see any message there, any lesson there. Can we extract anything like that? Okay, so now you're telling me to build on top of the meaning. This is tadabbur. To build on top of the meaning some reflection. So you have the foundation is laid, tafsir is laid down. On top of that now you're going to do an exercise called tadabbur, which is to reflect over the awaqib, the consequence of that meaning. So let's do that now. Let's do that now. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَإِن تَابُوا وَأَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتَوُوا الزَّكَاةَ فَإِخْوَانُكُمْ فِي الدِّينِ. Here Allah is speaking about the mushrikun. Allah says that if they make tawbah, meaning they become Muslims, وَأَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةَ, and they establish the prayer, وَآتَوُوا الزَّكَاةَ, and give zakat, then they are your brothers in faith, in religion. So this is the same verse you gave the tafseer of. Aqil, come to you, yeah? So you gave the tafseer, which is to establish the salah. So now knowing the whole verse and that tafseer, what could you say if you were asked to do tadabbur now? What could we learn from that? What kind of message do you think is giving you, any point of reflection there? Allah is saying about the mushrikun that if they make tawbah and establish their salah and give zakat, then they're your brothers in Islam. Any point of tadabbur here? I'm going to answer. Well, one second. Easy. Nothing? Okay, you can nominate somebody else. You know the ice bucket challenge? No, not that brother. Somebody else. Somebody on the other side. The young child?
Yeah.
Tahir, no? What is it? Tahir?
If you do the shahada,
Yeah.
but do not give zakat or do salah, that means you're not Muslim.
Ahsant, mashallah, chocolate for you. Mashallah, Tahir, Allahu Akbar. Tahir said, come quickly. Tahir said that from this verse we learn that if somebody becomes a Muslim, very good, becomes a Muslim but he doesn't pray at all, doesn't give any zakat, then he's not your brother in religion. Ooh, that's an interesting reflection. Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah said exactly that thing. He said the proof for the scholars that said that the one who doesn't pray salah whatsoever is a kafir is this verse here. Because Allah said, once they do X, Y and Z, then they're your brothers in Islam. And if this isn't done, it means they're not your brother in Islam. If they're not your brother in Islam, it means they're not Muslim. Tahir, did you know that from beforehand? Or? MashaAllah. Say MashaAllah. So this is Tadabbur. Okay. Let's move on now, inshallah. Differences of Tadabbur tafsir will go through, inshallah, later on.